Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen monthly report summarised and made more bite-sized, looking at what Cloud Imperium have been working on over the last few weeks and what they're focused on now in September 2021, with server meshing, new unannounced ships, pyro, features for Alpha 3.15 and beyond. Let's start with some ships. In the UK, a yet-to-be-announced ship, originally mentioned earlier in the year, was completed, with the team's final task of creating additional paints currently underway. Looking forward to seeing whatever that is. The Redeemer is approaching final art completion, with the team finalising the interactive buttons in the cockpit, remote turret bays, component room, and making the final polish of the lower deck. Work also commenced on the Hull A, which is close to being white box complete. Its larger sibling, the Hull C, is being brought up to gold standard. August's focus was on the exterior, with the team switching out materials to the newer shaders and making sure it's ready for the current paint system. Two unannounced vehicles continue to progress through the pipeline. One recently completed its grey box review and is approaching final art, while the other is awaiting its grey box review, though it is close to having a finalised exterior. Refueling work was also done on the MISC Starfarer. The refueling arm mentioned last month is now complete, with focus turning to the tractor beam assembly at the rear that forms part of the refining feature. The Crusader A2 Hercules is on its final art review too. In fact, it's past it. What am I talking about? It's past its final art review. In the US, the Crusader Ares moved through the final art phase, with the cockpit, enter an exit system, component housings, landing gear, and thrusters receiving polish. The cockpit habitation area, ladder, passage, and cargo hold are all nearing grey box complete for the Drake Vulture, and all new vehicle is almost grey box complete as well, while art for the variant mentioned last month was also finished. Vehicle features. So the vehicle features team ramped up the development of jump points, creating the gameplay and other development tools required to deliver the feature and make it easier to work with for other teams. They also supported the Persistent Universe feature team with refueling and continued to work on HUD improvements. Vehicle experience focused on finishing the development of the bombing feature, which entered the review stages. There appears to be some new UIs for bombing too. Maybe it will be its own sort of unique mode. They also worked to balance upcoming ships for Alpha 3.15 and beyond. The vehicle tech team put the finishing touches on radar scanning and the ping refactor for vehicles. They also prepared to incorporate the improvements to first-person gameplay. Some improvements were identified in existing systems and functionality, which have been included in upcoming plans accordingly. The VFX team has revisited the new vehicle SDF, assigned distance field based shields. A simplified setup was provided with better scalability options, allowing fewer effects to be used across the wide range of ship scales. They also began working on ship wake effects with the vehicle feature team, which will allow surface dust, snow, etc. to be displaced when ships are rapidly flying along the surface of planets and various sort of biomes. This is a continuation of work recently completed for thruster wind volumes. VFX passes were also done for the Crusader A2 Hercules, one of the unannounced ships mentioned earlier in the report, and for Crusader Ares' size 7 weapons. They are big flying weapons, basically. There's a ship attached to them. The US gameplay feature team progressed with Knickknacks, the Asset Manager Mobi app. The app is now feature complete and in the polishing pass of production, or polishing phase, while the look and feel are currently being finalised. They also continue to develop dynamic events. They began working on JumpTown 2.0, the next dynamic event, where outposts will become hyper-lucrative, tempting players to fight to control the area and gather as much profit as possible. More information on that is apparently coming very soon, but JumpTown 2.0 is one of the most exciting things that I'm looking forward to for Star Citizen in terms of short-term gameplay. I'm not talking about sort of like for the finished game, because I want a billion different things like JumpTown 2.0 and Xenothreat Constantly On. But for something in the short term, yeah, it's great. They also continue to work on TDDs, the Trade and Development Division terminals and areas, for the cargo refactor, the character archetype editor, and the new shopping and selling initiatives, all of which will and should be at the review stage soon. The character and weapons featured teams focused on bug fixing and polishing for the new player inventory and actor status features. The team said some of the more amusing bugs included looting a dead player and finding their ship and all its vehicle weapons in their inventory, and lowering a gurney to put an injured player on, but at the end of the animation it starts bouncing around and killing everyone. They've not had great things with gurneys and trolleys for the medical profession. They are more murderous than they are helpful at the moment. They are working on some animation tech that will help memory usage and dense population areas be much more efficient and performant. The narrative team focused on Alpha 3.15, working with design on contract text for new missions and expanding the organizations and gameplay scopes represented in the Reputation app. Medical gameplay and new hospital and clinic locations were also worked on, with the team making passes on all related UI and branding. New dialogue was recorded to help populate the clinics and new Horizon locations. Beyond 3.15, the team worked on content for the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2951 and upcoming dynamic events. Additionally, they recorded mission audio for various security forces in Stanton that will add further depth to future content. Preliminary work began on a new mission type, with the team working closely with design to begin prototyping dialogue to support gameplay. The development of narrative content continued for Pyro, further defining what players can expect to encounter in that new system. Character art completed a large batch of new assets for Alpha 3.15, including heat-resistant heavy armor that will replace the Caldera Pembroke suit. The team also finalised several new backpacks, including 3 based on the Clark Defense Systems brand and 1 on Doomsday. They also reworked existing backpacks previously attached to armor cores to make them individual modular items. From 3.15 onwards, each new armor will come with a backpack in the same style, but I believe they are separate, which is interesting. Animation spent some time focusing on vendors for illegal food, drink, and other items, which involved creating animation previs videos showing how the assets should be used in Pyro. This work will be used to improve the existing bartenders and NPCs too. They progressed with overall medical behaviour, including patrons, hospital healing functionality, and related usables. They're also working on drunk locomotion for status changes in both weapon and no weapon stances, with the first drop containing functional assets. The cowering and surrendering behaviours progressed, while additional seated idling animations were added to make characters feel more alive. A mocap shoot was arranged to cover blockouts for the hygiene, crucible, hacking, navigation, arcade machines, unwell seating, additional vendor behaviours and animations, and locomotion R&D. Progress was made on vendor lines and the Chow line NPC animations. For Engine, normally Engine as a section on the monthly report is written in hieroglyphics to me, or at least very complicated and quite fluffy. A mixture together is just this is not much tangible information. However, the engine this time was actually pretty good. There's a big section here that was very useful, understandable, and well written in more layman's terms. So let's take a look at this. The physics team progressed with physical quantum travel. In their development stream, they now have a proper quantum grid per solar system and a quantum obstacle component that registers an analytical representation of an obstacle. Some to be sorted issues aside, they can now make the equivalent of a blind quantum jump and drop out before hitting a moon along the travel path. They also continue to improve performance with states of entities and physics code being a focus. They're also getting ready for server meshing, which is what I'm looking forward to in the future. The transition to the Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan integration progressed throughout August. Shader activation was made thread safe. Volumetric volumes now run natively in the Gen 12 renderer. They had various other tweaks that they made while also refactoring some of the legacy code. There's been lots of optimization work with them now. Optimizing entity unloading stalls that were plaguing the UI, and they've been refactoring legacy code, all this sort of stuff. Regarding atmospheric and volumetric clouds, time was spent reworking the reprojection and filter chain to ultimately allow ray marching at lower resolutions for improved GPU performance. They are improving cloud tech further. It's a work in progress, and it's going to be rolled out shortly, apparently. The VFX programming team also continued with fire hazard systems. It now utilizes the new compressed physics render mesh, which obtains accurate surface data without relying on lower resolution and lower accuracy physics proxy meshes. The way fire spreads through doorways was improved as well. But pretty clever fire. Damage control fire. Ooh. The lighting team primarily focused on upcoming content for 3.15 and future deliverables for Pyro. Passes were completed on locations within Horizon, including the Crusader Showroom, Cousin Crow's Custom Craft, and Providence Surplus. I assume these are all going to be part of Alpha 3.15 and the Horizon update. Lighting work was completed for space clinics and hospitals in Grimhex, and progress continued on medical areas in Area 18 and Lawville. Lighting also assisted planet content, making a pass on atmospheric and color grading settings for Pyro, planets and moons, helping to make each feel unique and interesting. Ambiances and spot effects were completed for Grimhex Hospital, and incidental voiceovers were recorded for players to be informed of how painful treatments can be. Mechanism and explosion effects were also added for the mother of all bombs, Moabs, that are coming in 3.15. Tech sound design helped with the hacking system as well. Systemic tools and services. They worked on Quantum, the economy and AI simulation, making improvements to the tools that allow the designers to adjust these various systems. August saw work wrap up on player and AI info services to allow quantum simulation or any other backend service to pull more data at a faster rate as needed. Work began in earnest on the NPC tracker, which will allow the tracking of NPCs between servers. The system will be used by any gameplay loop that wants or needs to track NPCs as they shift from an instantized to virtual AI and move around the verse. A new generic escrow service wrapped up, allowing for more streamlined money transaction loops. The Turbulent Game Services team achieved key milestones in the server meshing project, delivering the first version of the new matchmaking system. The service communicating with the new database now has all the required main features too, and several optimizations were made. Boom! That's it for the monthly report this time. We'll be looking at AI and Squadron 42 updates in another video soon though. I am interested to know what you think. What could some of these unannounced or yet to be announced ships be? Are you looking forward to Alpha 3.15? What do you think we'll see at CitizenCon? When will the Gen 12 renderer and Vulcan be in our hands? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Some people say I shill for NordVPN, but listen to some of these comments that I just made up. I've never fed the love of a woman before, but then I got NordVPN, and that didn't matter. Doctor said I'd never walk again, but then I got NordVPN. Now I've been running marathons. Also, I got robot legs around the same time. They might have helped somewhat too. I was a tone-deaf pirate, but after getting NordVPN, I'm able to play the saxophone. Go on, Zin, try and animate all of this. Click the links below to get NordVPN. It might lead you to a more fulfilling life, but more likely, it will just help protect you from the terrors of the internet. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For September, it's for another Mercury Star Runner. I love that ship. It's a great way to try a huge portion of Star Citizen's gameplay. If you want a chance of winning that, just comment on any of my videos made during the month. If you'd like to further support the channel, be sure to check out that join button underneath my videos. There's also links to my Patreon, which also helps loads as well, direct donations, and just commenting, subscribing, liking, all that sort of jazz goes a huge way to helping the channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You take care, and I hope to see you in the verse.